Hello, I'm making another wax seal, and I'm doing 2 Pooh Bears on this one because the person who I'm sending this to really likes Pooh Bear. These are the seals I picked. This one has a leaf on top of Pooh Bear, and this one has a honey pot. Right now, and for one of them, I'm going to be using yellow and red because those are basically the colors of Pooh Bear. And for the other one, I'm going to be using green and blue because I'm thinking it's a rainy day, and green and blue are kind of rain colors. So I think I'm going to do the red and yellow one first. So you put them in, let them melt. I like to have a toothpick on hand so that way I can poke at it and see if it's good or not, if it's ready or not. This can take a little bit of time. I think I'm going to use this one for the red and yellow one. And you just let it melt. And there is a fire under there, so be careful not to put the envelope too close to it. For this one, I'm trying to keep the colors a little separate, so that way it looks like two sides. But you could also take the toothpick and swirl it around to make it more of a swirl, which is what I'm going to do with this one. And I'll show you that in a moment after this one is ready. Make sure it's completely melted because otherwise you'll have lumps in your thing, and that isn't always the look you want. So, I know that isn't the look I'm going for, so. Okay, that looks pretty melted. Careful with this, it is hot. And you can use the toothpick if it's having a little trouble coming out, which sometimes it does. Like this time. Sometimes you don't always have enough, but that's all right. Usually just the borders left out. Let it set for a moment. And while that's setting, I'm going to put these ones in. There's going to be a bit of red because of the last time, but that's fine. It'll just be a swirl. And there is one Pooh Bear. It's a little diagonal, but still, that is the Pooh Bear. And this one's done, so I'm setting it over here so that way I don't use that one again. And for the next one, I'm going to be using this one, if you can see that. Now I'm using the other end because I don't want too much red. And the wax does not take too long to cool, so make sure you put the seal on as soon as it's melted. Looks like it's starting to melt. Sometimes I like to swirl it around a bit so that way what I like to do is I take a bit of the melted and set it on the other one. And then it looks a bit more swirly that way. Make sure it's completely melted because you might have lumps in it, and that isn't good. Let's see. Okay, the green's good. Some of them take a little longer to melt. I find if I push them down or make a little bit of holes in them, like that, it melts a little faster. This one's taking a little longer than usual, but that green one is melted. Some of the colors take longer to melt than others. I'm gonna break this up a bit. And that gives it a bit of a spirally look too, if that's the look you're going for. Almost done there. Okay, this is melted. Careful with it, it is hot. I like to start at the middle and then do a little spiral on the way out. Sometimes I do a little bit of drips around it to make it look better. Then you take it, make sure it's right side up, smush it down, let it set for a moment. I'm going to put a couple of drips on it. And now it looks a bit more messy, but I think it looks pretty good. And now it's probably time to take it off. And there you go. 2 Pooh Bear seals. And you could take a marker on it and it'll look better. And that's it. Bye-bye.